You're gonna do site plans, Mr. Hans?
Whatever you are.
Okay, Mr. McCarthy, would you open us up?
Yes, good morning. February 4th, work session, all members present.
Okay, Mr. Hans, you have the floor. We have two site plans, correct?
Almost said October.
Good morning, Supervisor, members of the Town Board. Peter Hans, Town Planning Director. We have two site plans for the Board to consider today, acting as the Board of Site Plan Review. The first one is called Aldrich Management Company. This is at the southwest corner of Lake Avenue and 6th Street in St. James. Formerly had a dilapidated dwelling on the property. It was removed a couple of years ago. This is the property just to the north of the former Patio Pizza Shopping Center. We're recommending approval subject to 8 conditions. The first is that they obtain applicable permits from the Town Building Department. The second, that they put the tree preservation fencing around all trees to be preserved. The third, that they submit to the engineering department a geotechnical report prepared by a professional engineer detailing the procedures for the analysis and testing of the existing fill material. The fourth condition is that they obtain a road opening permit from the town highway department. The fifth condition, that the applicant shall enter an easement agreement with the town on a form acceptable to the town attorney, allowing the town to make streetscape and landscape modifications involved with the Lake Avenue improvement plan. When we're doing the Lake Avenue project, we're going to need to be able to get onto the applicant's property, and we would like to get the easements in advance of the project. The sixth is that they modify the landscape in accordance with a plan prepared by the planning department. The seventh is the proposed sidewalk along the south side of 6th Street shall be removed. We're not proposing sidewalks along the side streets, so whereas the plan does propose that on the applicant's copy. And 8 is pertaining to wall signs. The property owner has agreed to the conditions. On the screen is a rendering of the proposed building. Cupola. In addition to this project, the shopping center to the south is also supposed to get a makeover. The former Patio Pizza, it's a little bit dated, that shopping center, along with the Lake Avenue Deli. I'm not sure if I have the renderings here, but this is an overall. They are two separate sites. What this site plan is for is what you see outlined in red. However, there will be major modifications to the shopping center as well, including reconfiguration of the parking. There's a landscape, kind of a plaza out along Lake Avenue, in addition to the facade renovations. The facade renovations were handled separately under a site plan exemption. He has approval for that as well, but it more or less blends with what he's proposing for the new building at the corner of 6th Street.
Okay, what's his timeline on the alterations of the existing? Is that gonna be done simultaneously, or is he?
He hasn't proposed a timeline for the new building as well as the existing. However, they're combined, the two sites, so unless the south work is done on the existing shopping center, he's not gonna be able to obtain a certificate
Okay.
of occupancy for the new building.
Okay, that's what I was getting at, good.
Is he looking to do the design, exterior design on the new building to the same on the old building? It's the same owner, right?
It is, that's what I was saying. It's very similar. It's, all the green awnings are coming down. He proposes matching signage. I wish I had the rendering for the shopping center as well. I think it would have helped the board see what's being proposed.
And he's already got a commitment for a restaurant? That's what the building says here.
That's what he's proposing as a restaurant. Whether or not he has a commitment, it's saying proposed restaurant and associated site work. That's what the approval's for.
Okay.
The new building is gonna be a restaurant?
I don't know that for certain. That's what he's proposing. It would be easy enough for him to renovate, to change it to a retail building or break it up into multiple tenants. If you look at the front elevation, which would be the east elevation, he has multiple doors, so he could just as easily break this up into 2 or 3 tenant spaces.
So he wants to
Or
keep
4.
the Patio Pizza, former Patio Pizza, a restaurant from,
It's a shopping center, so
I mean,
I haven't heard of any proposed user
no,
going
I
in
mean, I
there.
was under the impression there's not much capacity there to have another restaurant, so I was curious.
Well, the Patio Pizza is grandfathered in
Yeah,
as a
yeah,
restaurant
but then-
building.
And then another one that, not that I mind,
yeah.
I like restaurants.
I mean, it's a large enough site that it probably could stand on its own and facilitate a restaurant. You know, if you look at, again, this building is on what is shown in red. So there probably is enough capacity for
To do another one.
60 to an 80
Really?
seat restaurant.
Okay, Board of Health.
Yeah.
Yeah, sewer capacity.
Yep.
It's nice to have restaurants, it brings in people.
We shall see.
Okay.
The next application is the former St. James Lumberyard. It's called APS Properties, east side of Lake Avenue, opposite the St. James Elementary School. This is more or less a legalization for half of what's happened there. It's a change of use from a lumberyard to a nursery with proposed outdoor storage, facade alterations, and associated site work. KGC Landscaping, a landscaping firm has purchased the property. They store their trucks there, but in addition to that, they will be operating a nursery out of the site. Recommending approval with 3 conditions. The first, that they obtain the applicable permits from the building department. The second, that they file an easement with the town on a form acceptable to the town attorney, agreeing to allow the town to construct a new curb, cut, and associated site modifications as part of the Lake Avenue Improvement Plan. Again, just like the last site plan, there's proposed work that's about 20 feet onto the property. We'd rather not have the applicant do this work that would just be ripped up as part of our construction project. It entails a relocation of their curb cut along Lake Avenue. The third, the applicant shall modify the driveway and curbing in accordance with the approved site plan, so it kind of dovetails with the second condition. The applicant is in agreement with the conditions. Some minor facade renovations to the existing, I call it barn shed, that was the former lumberyard building. Aerial showing essentially the property. It's very narrow out by the road. You have Eddie's Power Equipment on the one side. It actually wraps around this wooded area that's over here to the building. That's part of the site. There will be some tree clearing, and this is where nursery stock is proposed to be located. And this gives you an overhead of what the property is. Board have any questions?
I'm fine. Any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Peter, thank you.
How do you spell it? A-L-I-C-H?
Okay. Mr. Loman, you have someone here to,
Yes, I do.
okay, well, let's go to that next.
When do you guys want to come?
Close that door. Close that door. Thank you.
It says Middle Country Road, Lake Avenue. Wait, Middle Country Road, Lake Avenue. That's too much.
Okay.
Middle Country Road, Lake Avenue.
Wendy Parr is here from CAC Marketing. She's going to talk to us, and Dave, they're here. Brian, I'm sorry, to talk to us about, a little bit about the sunscreening program that they've been running out in other municipalities throughout the town and out the island, so the floor is all yours.
Thank you. Just to give you a quick background on us. Our company is Creative Advertising Concepts. We're based in Long Beach, New York. We're a municipal advertising and marketing company. We work with municipalities, help brand them, bring attention to them, as well as to make it a better place for everyone to live and work. So 4 years ago, I was in the city of Miami Beach, and someone told me about checking out these sunscreen dispensers, and so I went. And I saw, to me, the best public-private partnership anybody could have. There were these dispensers that were on the beach, and all of the beaches, what I understood, and they had a sponsoring hospital, and they were offering free sunscreen. And I immediately called the city, scheduled a meeting to find out how they did it, brought it back, and a year after that, we launched our first program on Long Island, which was in the city of Long Beach. So currently, we have 9 programs, and this is our current partnerships right now. Our first one was Long Beach, and then we went into the town of North Hempstead. The most recent programs right now are Patchogue, Port Jeff, and Southampton, and Babylon. We did a lot of them last year.
Yeah.
They're all, and these are right now our current partners. As you see, Northwell is a big player with us in different markets. They're Islip, Babylon, that's Southside Hospital, and Stony Brook is Southampton, is the town of Southampton. That was our first program last year. And so it's really kind of taken off, and it's what I call it the perfect public partnership. Now, you know this already, but we put it in here just to show you how we present it to a hospital. We talk about your town, we talk about your villages, your population, your medium age, and then we talk about your facilities, known for its 25 magnificent parks, 4 pristine beaches, and wonderful sports and recreational facilities. But you knew that already, I hope.
Thank you.
Anytime. And dog park, right? Your dog park?
Mhm.
Thank goodness. Okay, good. And so we wanted to explain how we do this program and the next steps. Here we are, we're meeting with you guys. We're talking about the program. We want to make sure you're comfortable with it, and we hope that you want to have this for your town. We provide all necessary due diligence, contracts, et cetera, work with your town attorney, right? And get that done. And then we work with each municipality, and we go and like Brian will go and meet with the parks director, whoever, to see where the best places are for dispensers, the quantities of dispensers. You've got a fairly large town here, and that's how we base what the fee is for the hospital to get involved and all that. And then we make our best effort to secure a sponsor. We hope that we do. He'll deal with that.
So we have about 180 units out there right now, spanning from Long Beach all the way to Southampton, and all the North Shore as well. You know, we have the town of North Hempstead, town of Huntington, and what we do is, because these are out from Memorial Day to Labor Day, they're very rigid. I'll show them to you in just a minute. They're basically bulletproof. You can't break those open. They're really on a heavy composite plastic. And inside the unit is a mechanical unit that when you put your hand under it, it's a sensor, and it puts a certain amount of sunscreen in your hand. You can put that on, and then you have to put it in again to make it keep coming out. It will not continue to just pour out while you're sitting there. So what we do is we work with the town. So I typically meet with the Commissioner of Parks, and we do a tour around the entire town and find the most logical locations for all of these based on what's worked for us in other areas. We put a map together of where everything's going to go. We get it approved, and then we know the number of sunscreen dispensers, so Wendy can then go out and talk to the potential sponsor. If you also notice that the sponsors are all connected to the health industry, in the sense where it's not all due respect to Joe's Pizza, but we're not going to have Joe's Pizza on all of this stuff because it just doesn't make sense. Right. So dermatology or hospitals, cancer centers and stuff like that have been working really well for us. So what we also do is it's very important to make sure not only that the town looks really good in the sense of this program is actually working and functioning, is we have a management system that happens throughout the entire summer. So inside each one of these sunscreen dispensers is a QR code that we have an app that our management team goes around and goes to each dispenser at least every 7 to 10 days to check that they're working, to make sure that if they have to be filled, if there's any kind of repair orders and stuff, they can send the repair orders right in, and within 24 to 48 hours, everything is fixed. So we're monitoring them all the time. We don't set it and forget it. We don't just drop it there Memorial Day and show up Labor Day and pick it up. We're watching it the entire time. There is also a give and take if we're at the pools and the beaches where there's heavy activity on these units. What we will do is just talk with the person that manages that particular facility. We will leave a couple of extra bags, refill bags. So on a Saturday afternoon, if it empties out because the beach is packed, the lifeguard or the recreation facilitator manager has an extra bag to put in. We also have a very descriptive step-by-step of exactly how that needs to happen. But I am also available, as well as my maintenance team is available all the time via text or email or phone to communicate with us if they're having any issues. Over the 180 units we had last year, I think we had 2 units that were damaged during that period of time, which is kind of astonishing in this fact that they're out all the time. But what we were able to do is bring them in. We put a new one back out. If that one gets destroyed, we say, okay, no more sunscreen dispenser here. We got to move it somewhere in a more visible area where whoever is messing with it can't mess with it anymore. We have a really great track record of how everything's been going. We've been working with the sunscreen dispenser company to talk to them about making some changes and making the system even better. So over the years, so now we're 4 years into the program, we've really tweaked the program throughout the entire year to really make sure it goes really well. The sunscreen that's used inside the sunscreen dispensers is all, it's not utilizing chemicals that we don't want in there. There's long words of these chemicals I can provide to you. On the sides of every dispenser is all the ingredients. If anybody has any issues with any of those, or there's a problem, there's a 800 number on there they can call. But again, we now 4 years in, fortunately, the sunscreen that we've been using is either a Coppertone product, or it comes from BrightGuard, which makes an all-organic sunscreen that we use for that. We've had a really good track record with, no incidences that we've had all this time. And it runs really well. It's something that people really love to have, and it's at no cost to the town at all.
How do you get paid?
So
Through the sponsorship.
So the sponsor, when we get the sponsor covers all the costs. The cost to purchase the sunscreen, the whole management of running everything, including what we get paid, all comes through the sponsor. So once we secure that, and we do a multiple year contract, because the one thing that we don't really want to do is if we introduce this summer and then all of a sudden next summer we don't have the program, it's going to go away. So we do a 3-year program with all of our sponsors, and we hope to do that with the towns as well.
We'll show you the other things we do with the sponsors, and just not putting their name on
Right.
a dispenser.
It's a whole program to really encourage the sponsors to come on board to get the exposure. So anybody have any questions on the maintenance or management?
Do you go contact local medical facilities around Smithtown? Is that how you do it?
Hospitals.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, and you have listings of those, or you would need those?
It's always helpful because you have probably better relationships than I do. I live in Nassau County.
Okay.
That if you can introduce us to someone at the local hospital, like for example, a perfect example, I went to visit the village at Rockville Center yesterday. I met with the mayor, and so he said, well, you're talking to Mercy Hospital, aren't you? And I said, well, I put a pitch into the regional Catholic hospitals, and they've turned us down. He goes, well, you have to have Mercy Hospital here. He picks up the phone and he dials, and he called his friend at Mercy Hospital. And he said, look, I don't want Northwell here. You gotta have to do this program. I mean, I'm not saying you can be that forward with it, but it is very helpful because you have the relationships, and if you can help us, that would be awesome.
Right, and it is important to just make sure that it's clear that this is being offered to that local hospital first.
First.
All of a sudden, they
Right.
wake up one day and there's all these things plastered from a hospital that's their competing hospital
Yes, that's a
around
good
the
point.
bend.
Right.
We want to make
We
sure
don't want to
that,
piss off your relationships either, you know?
in so many words, yes.
So many words.
So what about like dermatologists, private offices? What's the commitment as far as money? I mean, it sounds like that would be a lot of
It's
money.
depending, our programs
is.
range from anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000
Yeah.
per year.
It equates to about $1,000 per unit per season, and that includes everything, all the sunscreen. I mean, the sunscreen itself is $140 just for a gallon of it, which we can go through easily
Yeah.
in a
Last
season.
year, we were in almost deep trouble
Well,
because it was so many hot days.
Yeah.
It was.
Just one, you guys know this, the summer just was, it was unbelievable. It was just one day.
Hottest summer.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm
you
sure
know,
this
guess what?
coming year will be
This is
the.
the hottest February, so I worry
Yeah.
about all that other.
So it equates to about $1,000 per unit.
So you need a big
It
organization.
is
to
really
be able to
typically
afford that.
usually that, and we don't necessarily, I mean, again, we haven't had to do this yet, but, I mean, if they wanted certain areas and we had to break it up, that's a possibility, but we haven't done that yet, and it just makes it a little more streamlined when we do this. But if you notice also on here, and I have an example over here, if you look up at the top here, we have this one here, right under where it says compliments of, so it starts off with your town seal up at the top, and then it says, donate, in good health from our town Smithtown Neighbors, and then underneath that is the actual logo of whoever's sponsoring. So Northwell. So though it's, not really intrusive, it's actually a pretty looking thing, and it's not enormous, so it's not like a billboard people are showing up at the beach. And then on the unit itself, you can see where it says the cancer centers right there. There's some instructions on it that just tell you how to apply it, how often to apply it. So it's really about just awareness and educating people. But then that takes us
That's
into
the best part of it.
and that takes us into the next part of this, is
Go
that,
back to the other slide, because I just want to make sure that, I put this slide in here because I wanted to make sure these would be potential
Your local.
hospitals that we would approach. Yeah.
So it's this individual hospital, although they're affiliated with Northwell Health.
Right,
It's the
right,
hospital
exactly.
that
Like
makes
we
the
have
commitment.
Plainview and Syosset Hospital, Northwell Health, we have Southside,
Yeah.
which is Babylon, and yes.
Because now they're all Northwell Health.
right, so we
That's
have,
Sinai.
we have two levels of the approach. One level is the local hospital, and then also the corporate Northwell. So if we go to the local hospital or corporate, one of the two may pick it up. It depends on what their budgets are and what their initiatives are for the coming year.
What we can do, Nicole, just make a note, we have at least 2 or 3 kind of major dermatology
I would love
centers
to.
here.
Yeah.
Schweiger up here is
Oh, you have
huge.
Schweiger here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ah.
right down here, so
We have
there's
Schweiger
a
in
couple
Long
of
Beach
larger
also.
ones that we could steer you to talk to.
Okay.
Yeah, ideally that's great, because again, like I had said, we want to make sure we give, I guess we can call it first right of refusal. They're in their neighborhood, so let's chat with them first.
Okay.
And if they turn it down, we could at least say, we talked to you about it. But it's not just about the sunscreen dispensers.
So-
It's not just about the name of the sponsor here. It is. This is the crux of the entire
Well,
program.
that's how you get your money. so.
But this is the best part.
Well, this is-
This is what we love, because this is what we do.
Yeah.
And we, it's important to, what'd you just do?
I'm sorry.
Okay, first off, we, what are you doing? No, keep going back. Okay, all of our events, we kick off and have the press, I call them press events, I don't call them press conferences. Press events because we tend to try to have a doctor there. The guy on the right, the guy with the hat on, oh my God, that was Huntington. This guy went on and on and on, and you would appreciate this. He went on, and it's their mission. And so we really try to do something that is Babylon.
Is
They-
that
oh,
Angie?
Babylon,
It's actually-
Babylon and
Angie?
Islip did it together.
With the hat on?
Islip did it together.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, look at her.
She's
Angie?
great.
Angie.
She's great.
Yeah.
She just rolls right in there,
She is
and
great.
yeah, she's great.
Full
That's
line
Oyster
Angie.
Bay. That's Angie again, I think.
Yep.
And that was Northwell did this regional kind of thing, and they did that over at the Jones Beach Theater, Northwell Health Jones Beach Theater. And so that's how we kick off the event. That happens either prior to Memorial Day or right after, to let everybody know, and then we get all this press, and it's a great thing, and we'll go next. Okay, so this is our kind of slope. We're not just sunscreen. Our program is it's free to the community, includes it's sun education and an awareness program and a dedicated social media program that promotes and teaches sun safety to the community, and that's the big part for us. That lady down there is a lady from she's both that's Syosset Hospital and Plainview Hospital, Northwell Health. I've never met such a dedicated. We get the hospitals involved. She does these kids programs and camps and whatever, and she teaches them, and she is awesome. And that's what we try to have them do. Some hospitals are much more understanding and have the manpower and want to do these things. Others are not so much, but we've found that it's really been a wonderful thing. As a matter of fact, one day Brian called me and told me to bring a sunscreen lotion to this park near me, and I went and I went to the park director, and she goes, see that little girl? She was teaching her mother how to put sunscreen on. When we were growing up, we never needed sunscreen. We were, these kids, it's so important for them, and that's what this is all about to us.
I remember the baby oil and the reflectors. Now
You
we're
have
just
a
trying to get
program
comfortable.
Make
with
it
it.
burn, right?
Yeah.
Coppertone.
For outreach, for public awareness, do you promote it, or do you depend?
Well, we promote it, but it really is the hospital.
The hospital.
The hospital. And again, each one is different, but most of them really jumped on. This is what we do, though, actually. We do a summer-long social media campaign. You'll see these are all different social media posts. And we just tell the story. And it's your approval, the hospital's approval, and we use your Facebook page, and it just gets out there, and this is 5, 6, 7, 8 times of the season that we actually communicate this information.
So I work directly with your PR department, providing them the content to post. There are some towns that actually provide me access. I schedule posts, they go in and approve them, and they get posted. But it's really, and however, we could do it a couple of different ways, but we provide the content, which is typically a quote from a doctor that talks about, things or tips about summer stuff. Also the locations they are, and this is part of the promotional program that the sponsor gets, that ongoing promotion. So it's on your pages promoting all the stuff that you're doing, promoting the hospital, promoting the program. It's a win-win for everybody around. So again, like we said, it's not just the dispensers, which is really the thing. It's about all the other messages that we're sending out there. There's a couple of more.
Yeah, actually, we don't have this on here, but Southampton went to the extent of actually creating a poster that gave all the locations. They did it in English and they did it in Spanish. And then we also put out a social media post on it too.
What's the material of the bag?
Well, see, I can show you quickly here. So here's the dispenser itself. The dispenser is made out of a very hard composite, but inside it is the mechanism that the bag goes in. So it's enclosed, so nobody can get to it. There's these keys that open it up.
Right.
So inside the bag is almost like a foil plastic. It's a sealed bag.
Yeah, okay, because my question was does it ever get too hot for someone to use?
We have not had that situation. Early on in the production of these, they had issues 5, 6 years ago with it getting hot in here, but the way that they constructed these now,
Yeah.
it doesn't.
Okay.
And then the bag gets in here, and then everything comes out, the bottom here, and then we clean this out. It runs on 4D batteries, which will last 2 seasons because of the amount of power that it uses over this period of time. And then, like I said, what we do is we put a QR code right in here for each individual location. So when we're maintaining it, they scan it. It tells us, okay, we're at Smithtown Park XYZ, so we know where it is, and we know everything is good in that situation.
That looks easy
And-
to
and-
replace
and-
too.
Brian,
It's very simple. It's
Brian
very
can
good.
speak to this better than I, but I've heard, Parks people are awesome. Parks people work hard, right?
Yeah, it's hard to say because I really enjoy working with the park. That's my favorite part of the job, where I get to drive on the beach in Fire Island where nobody else gets to go. And in this,
The soap dispenser in the bathroom.
Kind of,
it's
yes.
very similar.
They're bigger, but yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I work mostly with the Parks Department to make sure everything's going smooth and they have everything that they need, which works out great. I really enjoy it.
These are social media comments from individuals on different Facebook pages of different towns. I use them, they're beautiful, clean, and 30 protection for skin. Also, they have them located at Robert Moses Beach, yada, yada, yada. It's just you love to hear the conversations. And you know what the funny part is? People don't listen. I live in the town of Oyster Bay. My taxes go up, whatever. I never think to compliment my town, but when you start getting compliments, it's really pretty cool. That you want to look like a hero, and that's what this program does.
Every
What-
once in a while, we get a letter
Yeah,
complimenting
I'm
us.
sure you do it, and you know what? It's so important.
One letter to every 20 that.
No, we know, we've
That's
been
about the
enough.
ratio.
But isn't that the way?
Because
it's
people that
so
wanna
nice. Just
compliment
like you say, it's so
Don't
nice.
So nice.
don't compliment you. The people that want to yell at you, yell at you.
It is so nice to hear somebody say, oh, that
Yeah.
was great.
What is the sunscreen protection on this, the SP level?
30. It's the
30.
SPF 30. Yes.
And then this is some feedback from people that work in here, Director of Recreation and Parks. On behalf of the village, I'm thankful enough for including us in such a successful program. I mean, it's just
It's funny,
really nice.
the town of Babylon, I think this was 2 weeks after the season, she's like, summer's only 9 months away, we have to start preparing. But even if you see in there, even in the town of Babylon, she mentions in there, because I had already sent her an email saying, we've noticed that XYZ beaches are using a higher volume, so we need to talk about putting more dispensers. So, look, everything's not gonna be perfect. We understand there's gonna be hiccups with each town, but we address it immediately. And even in this, we talk about this. She talks about the fact that, there may be hiccups, but we're correcting them. So this year, we should have, nothing happening at all.
Actually, one of the park directors just introduced us to the village of
Amityville. Yeah.
who was interested. So
What
they
is the
talked-
timeline to start this program and then get it up and running? What's involved?
So the fact that we're speaking in the
sponsor.
beginning of
Yeah,
of
find a
February
sponsor.
is really good.
Yeah.
We have a nice, Port Jeff and Patchogue happened 2 weeks before the season started, only because of an assortment of reasons. But usually, if we have a month or 2 month lead time, gives Wendy plenty of time to lock in a sponsor. We make sure we have all the equipment. I have time to meet with the recreation department to tour all those places, which the size of your town may take me 2 days to actually go around to all these locations. So we're in a good spot. So within, right now, we're in great shape to be able to launch for Memorial Day for this year.
Brian, it says you're the Creative Advertising Concepts, that's your agency?
Yes.
But all you do is sunscreen?
No.
No.
Oh, you do other things?
So I could list off a handful of things that we do.
No, I just thought this was your only company, I
No,
wasn't sure.
what we do is we bring programs to municipalities
might
that
be-
don't
yeah.
exist, that are either no cost or bring money in. For example, the city of Long Beach, we've created, actually, we're about to do a presentation to the new acting city manager, which is like the 9th acting city manager. Every time a new city manager shows up, we go in and present to them. We're actually about to present to them either this week or next week that we've raised $1.3 million for the city of Long Beach over the last 10 years. And we do that through bringing to them opportunities to raise money. So they have their own bus system. We presented to do advertising on all the buses, which brings about $85,000 a year in. And the city does nothing except for we just cut you a check every quarter, and that's it. We also are the advertising agency for the city of Long Beach. So after Hurricane Sandy, we created all the commercials you may have seen with Billy Crystal in it, talking about we're open for business, and we continue to do that.
And we do the coolest program that we will always remember is after the hurricane, we'd seen these really cool lights, decorative Christmas holiday lights, and they were themed like sharks and nautical themed kind of stuff. We fundraised for the whole thing. We put them on the boardwalk. So people walked on the boardwalk, and it was like, to me, that was like the coolest, most like, you felt it feel good. They needed to feel good.
So we specialize in finding things that municipalities need that we can bring there in a bow and say, just let us do this, and this is how it's going to work. And we've been very successful. We get a lot of calls from municipalities asking for help for certain things. Wendy raises sponsorships, pays for the fireworks for the city of Long Beach every single year. We just raised about $8,000 for the polar bear dip this
plunge.
past weekend. We have a calendar that the city sends out a calendar.
Crazy, but it's
and it's
crazy.
costing them $15,000 just to print the thing. And so what we did is we put small ads for local businesses on the calendar that raise the money to help offset the costs. So that's really what we do.
So if we had an event and we called you and said, can you find us a sponsor? The sponsor will pay for the event while also paying, of course, you
So
have
what
to pay
we,
money too.
typically what happens with us in that situation, we just take a commission on it. And we bring the money into, to try to raise the money to help offset. And then our fee is inclusive of that sponsorship.
What I'll tell you though, I mean, honestly, because I do most of that work, it is getting harder and harder and harder. Because we don't have as many corporations that are big corporations on Long Island anymore.
Yeah.
It's definitely tougher. Again, it's
How many
also
times
based
can you
on
go to Cannon?
relationships. What's that?
Exactly. Well, that's
Yeah.
funny you brought that up because we work for the town of Huntington,
Okay.
and we have for the last 8 years. We do their bus advertising, we do sponsorship development.
I like the bus marketing idea.
It works out really well. We've been doing it for, I think, 12 years now. Long Beach has been sold out as long as we've had the program. We also.
Then get some real estate.
Right, we do their bus shelters around the town as well, around the city. So there's a lot of things. So we just kind of try to think outside the box and bring ideas.
We also do these recycle bins that the city
Yep.
does. We do those also advertising. But, you have to be very careful, honestly, because some people, you're over commercializing, you're making it look like New York City. You get of those comments. But then again, if it's going to help, people have to understand that you need to raise money certain ways. You just can't do it with taxes anymore.
And to that point exactly is, I live in Long Beach. Our office is there. I do not want to over commercialize anything. Like just looking at these, it's subtle. I mean, the big information here is free sunscreen, free 30 SPF. That's what it's about. Yes, everything has a secondary message. And I know you guys have codes around the city that the signage needs to be a certain size. I'm the same way. We don't need to over commercialize things. We can still make a value for what we have. And if it's not valuable, then it's not viable, and we move on. So there's a lot of things actually.
No, I
when
have
you get
say
to know us a little
You have
more.
an incredible knowledge of this one product, and I'm very impressed with. It's like it's your baby.
It really is. We talk about that all the
It
time.
is.
It is a
My
piece.
kids are growing. It
There's
is.
there's a piece of this is a piece of what we do, but it
But
means
it's
a lot.
it's I guess in point in time in your career, it's nice to do things that are really rewarding
Yeah,
as well.
I mean, he's very enthusiastic, and of course, it's a good product.
Yeah. Okay, this is also.
This is some of the press that we've gotten throughout the past couple of years.
It's also very important for us to we do a recap at the end of the season for the sponsor. Because the more we show them how many impressions they're getting, I'm an advertising guy. I've been for 25 years. I know it's all about eyeballs and getting in front of people. And what we do is we make sure that we show them everything that's happening, all the impressions they're getting, and we do a really nice recap at the end of the season because that just makes them, encouraged to keep working with us in the program. So.
And we love making you guys look like heroes, seriously.
And we like to be here.
I know, you know,
So.
and that's it.
Any questions?
Thank you very much for coming in. What
Yes,
I
of
would
course.
ask you to do is, Nicole Gardjulo is in the back, she's our public information officer.
Okay.
So I would definitely touch base with Nicole as soon as you can. I think it's a very interesting program to put together. I think we can help you with some of the medical, like Swiger and those places. We could give you a list of those that you can go to.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Take a look at it, and then,
Oh, and I have these for
thank
you
you.
guys too, this is the whole presentation.
So see, Nicole, Councilman Lohman is Parks and Rec, he's the liaison.
Okay.
And you met Mr. Jakubowski, town attorney. And we might even,
And I
Mr.
go to the
McCarthy
beach.
and I were talking this morning about the possibility of doing some advertising on a project that we have underway right now, Flynn Memorial Park.
Okay.
It's about a $7 million renovation of
Excellent.
a ball field complex. So we might, through Nicole, get in touch with you on that aspect of that as well.
And who does Brian talk to for parks to meet with?
Mr. Lohman can set you up with the Parks
Okay.
Director.
Okay. And Wendy could actually talk to you a little bit about her experience with naming rights and stuff like that, her history. I mean, it's been a minute, but, because things are changing, but.
I used to, anyone like tennis? I used to run the Hamlet Cup tennis tournament for 16
did you?
years. Yeah, I was tournament director for 16 years, and, so that's why I learned all this sponsorship and who. And I also did the naming rights for the, Islip Park. EAB, show you how old I am. EAB was our first sponsor, and then they changed to Citibank, and then they gave it up, and then they brought in Bethpage, but I did the first naming rights with the actual county.
What is the naming rights? What do you mean by the
Naming rights, so right now.
I have a concept of it, but,
Basically, your name is of the stadium, so it's, right now,
okay.
it's Bethpage Federal Credit Union, well,
Yeah.
Bethpage.
What's the Duck
Bethpage
Stadium?
Park,
Yeah.
which is, to me, honestly, I mean, Bethpage they're fabulous and they brand great. But if you didn't know that they were, Federal Credit Union, but everybody around here knows.
Right.
And, just like the air show and all the things that they do, and they actually do our fireworks, which we hope they come back. So, yeah, and your relationships are really important, and I'm sure, you know a lot of people in town, and if there's anybody that you'd like me to approach or whatever, it always helps.
Okay.
It really does.
Excellent. Thank you very much for
My
coming in.
pleasure.
Thanks.
Make sure you
Thank
see
you.
Nicole, and then you can get in touch with Councilman Lohman and Mr. Jakubowski, the town
Thank you.
attorney.
You're welcome.
Okay, very
Thanks
good.
for coming. Appreciate it.
thank you.
Thanks very much.
That's where I was going with that. All right. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Brian, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Thanks very much. Nice to meet you. Okay,
Now back to the presentation.
We'll be in touch.
You give it there.
I have copies here, sir.
If you want, I can email it to you guys.
I got text Angie and see if she likes it.
do we know,
Downside, so we have to know what the.
on this additional stop program, we needed funding for that? Is that completed? Does anybody know?
What is it?
We were gonna go to a third stop program down at the MSF. We thought we needed a new one? Or do I have to talk to the comptroller? I know we needed an
Don't we
additional.
have a third one?
Is that done?
It's on there.
Okay, if that's done, that's good. Somebody can check and make sure, because we're gonna need three.
No, there is three.
Okay. I know town attorney has he wants to brief us on a couple of litigation matters. I don't have anything else.
No, good.
This doesn't have to be executive session, just a quick thing, I don't think it's a problem, but I had gotten a call from Mrs. Vecchio, and she was saying that the former supervisor was an avid reader, and he had a library of beautiful books. And she wanted to know if it was okay, because he had a thing for the Senior Citizen Center that he loved. Would it be okay if she donated the books to the center? But I would never say yes without talking
Oh,
to the
sure,
rest
why
of
not?
you.
Yeah, of
Okay.
course. It's a good idea.
Yeah, I think so
Absolutely.
too.
Absolutely.
But
Oh, let her know.
we're a team here.
Yep, let her know. Be good for the library there.
I think so too, and he did like, he has beautiful books from what I hear.
No, it'd be great. Let's, yeah, we'll contact the,
Yeah. I just-
contact her and.
I will.
I don't know if we have to do that by resolution?
Well,
You have to
that was the
accept it,
question,
so,
yeah, by
okay.
resolution. I don't know if you could put a value on used books, but just resolution, and she would,
Yeah, we establish a value.
yeah.
Okay, so work with Matt, we can do that and then let her know.
Sure, yeah.
We'll get him to the senior center.
It sounded like a nice idea.
Yeah, it is, definitely. Anything else?
No, I'm gonna hold off to the next work session.
Okay, then I'll move to go into executive session.
Second.
For the
All in
next work
favor?
session.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, David and Peter.
What the hell? Squeaker.
My daughter does that.
Okay, I'll move to close executive.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And move to close this morning's work session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.